Hey, Shalom Akim. First foremost, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash, the honors under the Elders Apostle Millstone, the Elders Millstone, and of course, peace and blessings under the hopeful elect, the sincere servants of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, serving him in truth and sincerity. Yes, on the brother Chayaba from GMS Plain Devil's Camp, coming back with another lesson to his spirit. This lesson be based off of recent news coming from. You can literally go anywhere and you'll find this recent news. I got it from nationalnews.com. It says Iran protest death toll exceeds 500 amid regime blackout and drone, or it says and drone surveillance. And they adding on to the amount of things are already happening within the earth. Well, you got this happening. This, again, many people dying within this protest. To read the article, it says Iran faces its most severe internal crisis in years with protests challenging the theocratic system. Human rights groups report over 500 protesters killed amid a violent government crackdown. A near total internet blackout has been imposed, obscuring the true scale of casualties and events. The regime uses sophisticated tactics like surveillance drones to monitor and suppress protests. International responses are growing, with the U.S. considering strong options against Iran. So, hey, you got many people dying right now because of this protest. And without a doubt, this is prophecy. The scripture going to how to read it. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 14, it says, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Yes, civil war. It says, For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. Let's get the word for sedition. Sedition meaning conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority of a state or a monarch. So it says, For there should be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Exactly. So kings or princes meaning what? The higher ups, the authorities, the government. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power, meaning they're going to disobey the laws that are in place and do what they want. Of course, the governments are going to come back against that. As we went into, there's a government crackdown. It goes to show you that, again, how ultimately, there's going to be people rising up against the authorities, against the governments. And it's already happening. And it's going to continue to increase. It says Iran is engulfed in its most significant internal crisis in years, with human rights groups reporting more than 500 protesters killed as a nationwide internet blackout obscures the full scale of a violent government crackdown. What began as demonstrations over a collapsing economy has rapidly transformed into a broad challenge to the theocratic system, presenting a severe test for the 86-year-old supreme leader. It says Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. According to U.S.-based human rights activist news agency, at least 544 people have been killed in the past 15 days, including 8 children. The group reports more than 10,681 arrests. The Norwegian organization Iran Human Rights says earlier confirmed at least 192 deaths, but warned the true toll is likely far higher. The deaths may be even more extensive than we currently imagine. their group stated. Yeah, and it goes to show you that, again, without a doubt, we are in those times. We know ultimately, everything you see happening around the world, you see Iran, you see Russia, Ukraine, you see, these uproars in these different countries. Guess what? You're going to see all of that exponentially within America. As we know, of course, Yahweh Bashim Yoshai, who the world literally calls God and Jesus. Well, ultimately, he's going to send all these things to Babylon Great, which is America. And guess what is going to be much worse? Scripture's going to Matthew 24 and 6. It says, "And ye should hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." You ever seen that wars, rumors of wars happening right now? It says, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Because, ultimately you're waiting for one thing. Just because you see, Russia, Ukraine, you see Israel, Hamas. You see, Iran sending missiles upon Israel and this and that. Ultimately, what? It doesn't mean that World War III is going to pop off in the next 12 hours. Ultimately, we're still waiting on the prophecy. Of course, prophesied to happen before World War III, which is going to be the implementation of the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast being mandated. It says, verse 7, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom." And of course, what the implementation of the mark of the beast is right around the corner. As we know, Esau is moving swiftly with his digital ID system, again, preparing the way for the MOTB system. We got Elon Musk in his Neuralink. What's the mark? Of course, the mark of the beast is the CHIP, the RFID implant that they want to implant within everybody. Both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, meaning upon everybody. It says, "For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom," meaning there's going to be civil war. And there should be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So famines, pestilences, or earthquakes in diverse places, meaning in many places. So we're seeing these things happening around the world. Guess what? Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is saving the best for last. And we're already seeing these things happening in America. But hey, it's going to be much worse very, very soon once all hell breaks loose. Going back to the article, it says, crackdown under cover of darkness. Authorities have imposed a near total information blackout, severing connectivity to the outside world for over 84 hours. According to cybersecurity watchdog NetBlocks, this move has severely limited the flow of information, making real-time verification of casualties and events nearly impossible. The Center for Human Rights in Iran, citing eyewitness accounts, warned that massacre is unfolding in Iran. The world must act now to prevent further loss of life. Yeah, so they literally turned off the internet. Going into, again, we understand how this is a sign of things to come. We already know what they're planning for, a mass blackout, where everything completely shuts down. The internet's completely off, electricity completely off. And right then and there, Esau's going to move with his agenda. Ultimately, they're going to bring a blackout because, again, it's going to bring mass mayhem and chaos. People are going to be, it's going to be a lot of killing. And also Esau's going to be moving, capturing key individuals that are going to be against his NWO, which, of course, first and foremost, with the prophets of Great Millstone. It starts with us. Because literally everything that we preach is against their NWO. Esau's and what ultimately is a satanic system that's 100% against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. What if we preach against that? Using the scriptures. We're not, again, this all from the scriptures, and all we're doing is preaching what the scriptures say. But Esau is going to come up against us for that. It says Amos 8 and 11. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. Exactly. So a famine is coming. And what the main thing is that once this internet is turned off, you won't be able to hear this word anymore. You won't be able to hear, the prophets prophesying. Right now you got endless videos going out every single day. You can go across the subscription feed, and it's basically impossible to watch all videos in entirety in under 24 hours. That's how much content is going out. So it's going to come to a point where you're going to have access to zero of that. Of course, of this wisdom, knowledge, understanding being pushed out, of course, by the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So it's going to come to the point where, again, you won't have access to it. So it says Amos 8 and 11, behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. And they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh, and shall not find it. Exactly. So this is prophecy right here. People are going to be trying to find the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, trying to find, ultimately trying to seek the man in gray millstone teaching this word, or who were, of course, teaching this word. Because again, it's going to come to a point where ultimately, we're not out there preaching anymore. Scriptures say how their tongues will cleave to the roof of our mouths. And this famine is going to come. So the internet's going to shut down. You won't have access to us anymore. So whether that's the biggest, basically, result of course, the internet coming down, is you won't have access to this word. The wisdom, knowledge, understanding, as scriptures say, Isaiah 33 and 6, and wisdom, knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Because without this wisdom, knowledge, understanding of these scriptures, you won't have any, ultimately, you're not going to know what to do. Which is what these scriptures give us what to do, which is ultimately, the trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. All of it goes back on the trusting in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And with that, we have the words and we have the prophecies. And we have, of course, the Lord has promised unto his elect to depend upon. But the unfaithful will die in their unfaithfulness. The ones without this truth, they're going to die in their ignorance. So it's a little more in the article. It says the international response has been sharp. President Donald Trump said the U.S. is looking at it very seriously, and that the military is looking at it, and we're looking at some very strong options, he also claimed. They called yesterday. Iran called to negotiate. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar urged the European Union to designate Iran's Revolutionary Guards as a T organization. It says this uprising marks a pivotal moment for Iran. For decades, the regime has survived waves of protests by, it says, leveraging its security apparatus and regional proxies. Today, with its economy crippled by sanctions, its proxy networks weaken and a population growing increasingly impatient and defiant, the Islamic Republic faces a crisis of legitimacy that may define its future. And again, everything we see happening around the world, all the perils, all the, again, bad things that are happening, guess what? It's going to come to Babylon Great America, and it's going to happen exponentially here. Up until this place is destroyed by nuclear fire, as the scriptures go into World War III. Scriptures go into how this place is going to be destroyed, of course, by fire. These other nations making an alliance with one another to take down Babylon Great. Right then and there, Yahushua will come back to deliver his elect, which his brothers ought to be a part of, the elect other nation of Israel, the elect Israelites. Of course, consisting of so-called blacks, Native Americans, Latinos, and also those who have been scattered amongst the other nations. Because again, you're going to have our people coming with the appearance of the other nations. So ultimately, the Lord's coming back to deliver his elect from that destruction. Because if the Lord didn't come back, then of course we will perish within it. So Yahushua is coming back swiftly to deliver his elect from that destruction. But again, Yahushua is going to come back in the climax of World War III to deliver his elect. Again, all these things are coming quickly. So, and these things need to pass in order for Yahushua to make his return. So we're praying on to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua that he continues to shorten these days for our sakes, for the elect's sake. And ultimately, again, ultimately, again, all the prophecies come to pass. So that the greatest prophecy, of course, comes to pass, which is Yahushua coming back. But again, all these things need to happen in order for that to be fulfilled. So I believe that's the point. Lord, all you brothers out there edified. Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, Bashim Kakorash Bakathum. Shalom.